The first encounter. The diner was a bustling hub in the heart of the city, known for its welcoming atmosphere and home-style meals. Among the waitstaff was a young black woman named Maya, who juggled her responsibilities with a grace that often went unnoticed. At 25, Maya was a whirlwind of determination and resilience. She had grown up in a modest neighborhood, where dreams felt like distant stars, but she had always aimed high. Life had thrown her many challenges: her mother's health issues, the pressure to help support her family, and the constant struggle to find time for her own aspirations. Yet, she wore her uniform with pride, believing each shift was a step toward a better future. Maya's mornings were hectic. She would wake up before dawn, ensuring her younger siblings were ready for school before heading to the diner. As she walked to work, the crisp air filled her lungs, and she would remind herself of her dreams: pursuing a degree in hospitality management and opening her own restaurant one day. She often thought about her late father, who had been a chef. His passion for cooking had ignited her love for food and serving others. In every cup of coffee she poured and every plate she served, she felt his presence guiding her. On this particular day, the diner was buzzing with the usual morning crowd: families, business people, and students seeking a hearty breakfast. Maya moved through the tables with practiced ease, her warm smile a beacon of light. It was during the mid-morning rush that she noticed a man sitting alone in a corner booth, his wheelchair slightly tucked under the table. He was new to the diner, she hadn't seen him before. His name was David, and he was a man in his 40s, with salt and pepper hair and a gentle demeanor. His eyes held a quiet strength, but they also reflected the wariness of someone who had faced numerous battles in life. David had been in a car accident years ago that had left him with limited mobility, but he refused to let that define him. Instead, he focused on the possibilities each day brought, cherishing the little joys that life had to offer. Maya approached him, her notepad ready, and introduced herself with a cheerful, "Hi there, I'm Maya. What can I get started for you today?" David looked up, momentarily surprised by her brightness. "Just a black coffee, please, and maybe the special, an omelette with everything." "Coming right up," Maya replied, her heart lightening as she wrote down his order. There was something about his voice that intrigued her. It was calm yet filled with a certain depth. She went back to the kitchen, her mind racing with thoughts about this new customer. As she prepared his order, she couldn't help but steal glances at him. He seemed to be observing the busy diner with a thoughtful expression, as if he was cataloging every detail. When she returned with his food, she placed the coffee gently in front of him. "Here you go, I hope you like it." David took a sip, his eyes lighting up with genuine pleasure. "This is really good coffee. Thank you, Maya." They exchanged a few more words, and Maya found herself feeling more at ease. As he ate, she observed how he maneuvered with his wheelchair, an expert, navigating the small space with a quiet confidence. It was a far cry from the pity she often sensed in the eyes of others when they saw someone with a disability. "Do you come here often?" she asked, trying to keep the conversation flowing. "This is my first time," David replied, his gaze steady. "I'm new to the area and just looking for a good place to eat. I think I found it." Maya beamed at his compliment, feeling a warmth spread through her. "Well, welcome. We've got a lot of regulars here. I hope you decide to make it a habit." As their conversation continued, Maya learned that David had once been a writer. He spoke about his passion for storytelling, his eyes lighting up with every word. He shared snippets of his past, how he used to travel, explore different cultures, and write about his experiences. Maya found herself drawn to his stories, captivated by his resilience and ability to find beauty in small things. For the first time in a long while, she felt inspired by someone else's journey. David's presence reminded her that there was still magic in the world, even amid her struggles. As he finished his meal, David took a moment to look around the diner, then back at Maya. "You're really good at this," he said, sincerity etched on his face. "You bring a lot of warmth to this place." Maya felt a flutter in her chest at his words. It wasn't just flattery. She could sense he genuinely meant it. "Thank you," she replied, her voice softening. "It's my pleasure. I believe that everyone deserves a little kindness, especially on tough days." David smiled, and for a moment, the weight of the world seemed to lift from their shoulders. They exchanged a few more pleasantries, and as he prepared to leave, he fished out a small notepad from his pocket. "Would you mind if I left a note for you?" he asked, his eyes glinting with mischief. Maya raised an eyebrow, curious. "A note? Sure, I'd love to see it." He scribbled something quickly and slid the note across the table. "Open it when I'm gone," he said, a mysterious smile on his face. As he wheeled away, Maya watched him go, her heart racing with a mix of intrigue and anticipation. She opened the note, and her breath caught in her throat. It was a simple phrase, but it resonated deeply. "Thank you for seeing me." In that moment, she realized this was not just another ordinary day at the diner. This was the beginning of something special, a connection that would change both their lives. As she tucked the note into her apron, she felt a spark of hope igniting within her, a promise of friendship and understanding that lay ahead. Little did she know, this first encounter would set the stage for an extraordinary journey filled with compassion, inspiration, and unexpected surprises that neither of them could have imagined. Building a routine. As the weeks passed, David became a familiar face at the diner. His visits transformed into a comforting routine for both him and Maya. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 sharp, he would roll into his usual booth, his presence a steady rhythm in the ebb and flow of the diner's hustle. Each time, Maya welcomed him with a smile, her heart lifting at the sight of him. It felt as though their interactions were more than just customer and server. They were moments of genuine connection in a world that often felt hurried and indifferent. Maya learned that David loved the diner's blueberry pancakes, a dish he would order every time, along with a steaming cup of coffee. While she prepared his meal, she often caught snippets of conversations happening around her, but her focus remained on David. The sound of the coffee pot pouring into a mug and the sizzling of the griddle became the backdrop to their budding friendship. As she served him his pancakes, she would take a seat across from him for a few moments, using her breaks to engage in small talk. "Good morning, David. Ready for your usual?" she'd ask, her eyes twinkling. "Always. I think these pancakes might be the highlight of my week," he'd reply, a warm smile breaking across his face. Their conversations began casually, filled with questions about the weather, the latest events in the diner, and the occasional joke. But as trust grew between them, so did the depth of their discussions. David shared stories of his life before the accident, the adventures he'd taken, the dreams he'd once had of traveling the world, and how he had to redefine his aspirations afterward. Maya listened intently, drawn into his tales, fascinated by his resilience and the way he transformed his struggles into lessons. "Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs," David would say, stirring his coffee thoughtfully. "But I've learned to find joy in the small things, like coming here and chatting with you." Maya found comfort in David's stories as well. She began to open up about her life outside the diner. She spoke of her responsibilities at home, taking care of her younger siblings, and the pressure she felt to provide for her family. She described her dream of studying hospitality management and her father's influence on her love for cooking. "It's tough balancing everything," she admitted one day, her voice tinged with vulnerability. "But I keep pushing because I want to make my family proud. I want to create a place where people feel welcome and loved, just like this diner." David nodded, his eyes sparkling with understanding. "You're already doing that, Maya. Every time you smile at someone or serve them with kindness, you're creating that space. You have a gift." Their conversations became a sanctuary for both of them, a refuge from their individual struggles. The diner was a backdrop to their shared laughter and moments of reflection. They talked about their favorite books, movies, and dreams for the future, discovering common interests that made their bond feel even more profound. Maya found herself looking forward to David's visits, counting down the days until she could hear his laughter and share her thoughts with him. He had become more than just a regular customer. He was a friend, someone who understood the weight of her dreams and the struggles that accompanied them. In turn, David cherished the time he spent with Maya. Her youthful energy and determination inspired him to reflect on his own life. He admired her dedication to her family and her ambition to rise above her circumstances. Maya's laughter was contagious, and her spirit brightened even the cloudiest of days. One day, during a particularly busy lunch shift, Maya noticed a change in David. He seemed quieter than usual, staring out the window with a furrowed brow. After serving him his usual pancakes, she took a seat across from him, concern etched on her face. "Everything okay?" she asked gently. David sighed, his gaze returning to her. "Just been thinking a lot lately. I've been in this chair for years now, and while I've adapted, there are moments when it feels overwhelming. Sometimes I wondered if I'll ever find a way to regain a sense of freedom." Maya reached out, placing her hand over his for a moment. "You're not alone, David. You inspire me every day with your strength. I know it's tough, but you're doing the best you can." He smiled softly, the warmth of her support wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. "Thank you, Maya. It means a lot to have someone to talk to." As the days turned into weeks, their bond deepened, becoming a beautiful tapestry woven from shared experiences and kindness. They became each other's confidants, navigating their challenges side by side. In a world that often felt divided, they found solace in their connection, a reminder that friendship could thrive in the most unexpected places. Maya looked forward to each of David's visits, feeling like they were building a little sanctuary together, where laughter and understanding could coexist amidst the chaos of life. And as she poured coffee and flipped pancakes, she knew that her life was richer because of their friendship. It was a journey they both cherished, laying the foundation for something deeper and more meaningful in the chapters to come. The unexpected crisis. Life has a way of challenging the best-laid plans, and for Maya, that reality struck with relentless force one Thursday morning. The diner was bustling as usual, filled with the hum of conversation and the clinking of plates, but Maya's heart felt heavy. Her mother had been experiencing persistent health issues, and the latest news from the doctor had been particularly alarming. It was more than just a common ailment. There were signs of something more serious. Maya tried to push the worry aside, focusing on her tables and ensuring every customer felt welcomed. But the weight of her fears hung like a dark cloud, making it difficult to concentrate. As she moved from table to table, her mind drifted to her mother's frail frame and the anxious look in her eyes. Maya was the primary caregiver, juggling shifts at the diner while managing her family's needs. The thought of potential medical bills loomed large, amplifying her anxiety. When David entered the diner that day, she could feel her smile falter, though she tried to hide it. She greeted him as usual, but there was an unmistakable tension in her voice. "Morning, David, the usual," she asked, forcing a cheerful tone. "Sure, Maya. But first, is everything okay?" "You don't seem yourself," he observed, his eyes searching hers for answers. Maya hesitated, taken aback by his concern. It was rare for anyone to notice when she was struggling. "I'm fine. Just a little tired, I guess," she replied, the words feeling hollow even to her. David studied her for a moment before nodding, but she could tell he wasn't convinced. As she poured his coffee, she felt the urge to open up, to share the burden that weighed so heavily on her heart. But vulnerability was not something she was used to. Instead, she focused on serving in his pancakes, trying to distract herself from the swirling emotions inside her. Over the next few days, Maya's worries only deepened. She visited her mother at the hospital after her shifts, absorbing the bleak atmosphere and the sterile scent of antiseptic. Each visit left her feeling more drained, both emotionally and financially. With every bill that arrived, she felt her dreams of pursuing an education slipping further from her grasp. When she returned to the diner, David was waiting, concern etched on his face. "Hey, Maya, you've been quiet lately. Are you sure everything's all right?" he asked, his voice gentle yet insistent. This time, something inside Maya broke. She sat down across from him, her defenses crumbling. "My mom is sick. The doctors aren't sure what's wrong yet, and I don't know how I'm going to afford her treatment. I feel so helpless." As the words tumbled out, she felt a rush of relief mingled with fear. David listened intently, his expression serious as she spoke. "I'm scared, David. I've been holding everything together, but it's getting harder." David reached out, placing his hand over hers, a gesture that surprised her but also comforted her deeply. "You're not alone, Maya. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. Have you thought about asking for help? There are resources for families in your situation." Maya nodded, wiping away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "I know I should, but I hate the idea of burdening others. I just want to be strong for my family." "You don't always have to be strong," David said softly. "Strength also comes from knowing when to lean on others. You've been there for me. Let me help you." In that moment, Maya saw David in a new light, not just as a customer, but as a friend who genuinely cared about her well-being. His vulnerability shone through, revealing the layers of compassion and empathy he carried beneath his calm exterior. The conversation deepened their connection, breaking down barriers that Maya had unknowingly built. The kindness in David's eyes made her realize that it was okay to share her burdens, to accept help when it was offered. For the first time, she felt a glimmer of hope amidst her despair. "Thank you, David. It means a lot to me," she whispered, squeezing his hand in gratitude. As the days went by, their bond solidified, intertwining their lives in ways Maya had never anticipated. David began to offer small gestures of support, like leaving a generous tip to help ease her financial worries or bringing her homemade meals from his own kitchen. These acts of kindness provided Maya with a sense of comfort and reminded her that kindness often blossoms in the most unexpected places. Together, they navigated the complexities of life, sharing laughter and tears, dreams and fears. Each conversation brought them closer, weaving their stories together into a tapestry of friendship. Through his support, David not only eased her burden, but also inspired her to rekindle the flame of her aspirations, reigniting her passion for her dreams. Maya realized that vulnerability could lead to unexpected strength, and that sometimes the most profound connections are forged in the fires of adversity. As they continued to share their stories, they both understood that this was just the beginning of a remarkable journey together. A day of reflection. One dreary Tuesday, the rain drummed steadily against the diner's windows, creating a melancholic soundtrack that set the mood for the day. The usual lunchtime crowd was sparse, the muted sound of falling raindrops replacing the chatter and clinking of cutlery. Maya wiped down tables, her mind preoccupied with swirling thoughts, feeling as heavy as the overcast sky. The diner, usually alive with energy, seemed to mirror her own internal struggle. David arrived earlier than usual, rolling through the door with his characteristic smile, though today it seemed tinged with a hint of melancholy. He chose their familiar booth in the corner, where he could watch the raindrops race down the glass. Maya approached him with a steaming mug of coffee, her heart aching to share her burden, but unsure how to begin. "Looks like it's going to be a long day," she remarked, trying to lighten the atmosphere. "Yeah," David replied, taking a sip of his coffee. "Days like this always make me reflect on things." Maya nodded, surprised by the depth in his voice. "What do you mean?" With a contemplative look, he leaned back in his chair. "Rainy days remind me of my past. They bring back memories I sometimes try to bury." He paused, his expression shifting from thoughtfulness to vulnerability. "I had a life before the accident, you know. I was a teacher, passionate about helping kids learn. I loved my job, until that day changed everything." Maya felt a pull in her chest, urging her to listen intently. What happened? David took a deep breath, as if he were about to unearth a long-buried treasure. "I was driving home one evening, excited to share a new lesson plan with my students. I didn't see the truck until it was too late. I woke up in the hospital, and everything was different." His voice cracked slightly, revealing the pain that lingered beneath his calm exterior. "I lost my ability to walk, But more than that, I lost my purpose. It took me a long time to redefine what my life could be. Maya sat in silence, feeling the weight of his words. She could see the emotional scars etched on his face, the struggle behind his eyes. "That sounds incredibly difficult," she said softly, her heart aching for him. "It was," he admitted, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through. "But over time, I learned to find joy in new things. I began writing, sharing stories, and even mentoring kids in my neighborhood. It wasn't what I had planned, but it turned into something meaningful." Maya couldn't help but feel inspired by his resilience. She thought about her own life, the sacrifices she had made for her family, the dreams she had set aside. In that moment, as the rain continued to fall, she realized how much she had been hiding from her own feelings. "I've been feeling stuck lately," she confessed, her voice trembling slightly. "My mom's health is declining, and I'm struggling to keep everything together. Sometimes it feels like my dreams are slipping away." David listened, nodding empathetically. "It's okay to feel overwhelmed, Maya. You're carrying a lot on your shoulders. But remember, it's never too late to chase your dreams. Life may take unexpected turns, but that doesn't mean you can't find your way back to what you love." Her eyes filled with tears as she contemplated his words. "I used to dream of owning my own restaurant, sharing the joy of cooking with others, just like my dad did. But with everything going on, I don't know if I'll ever get there." David leaned forward, his eyes shining with encouragement. "You have a passion that's rare, Maya. Don't let fear hold you back. Take small steps toward that dream. You can find ways to create a life you love while still supporting your family." As they spoke, the rain began to soften, turning into a gentle drizzle. The atmosphere in the diner shifted, the weight of their shared vulnerabilities creating a bond deeper than either of them had anticipated. In that quiet moment, Maya felt a connection with David that transcended their initial roles as waitress and customer. She saw him not just as a man who had faced tremendous adversity, but as a source of inspiration and strength. The barriers that once seemed insurmountable started to appear smaller. David's encouragement ignited a flicker of hope in her heart, reminding her that dreams, no matter how distant, could still be pursued. Maya took a deep breath, feeling lighter as if a storm within her had finally begun to pass. "Thank you for sharing that with me, David. It means more than you know." "Anytime, Maya," he replied, a warm smile returning to his face. "We're in this together. Sometimes it just takes a little rain to help us see clearly." With renewed determination, Maya felt ready to face the challenges ahead, inspired not only by her own dreams, but by the unexpected friendship that had blossomed amidst the rain. A surprise visit. The following week dawned bright and clear, a welcome change after the gloomy days that had enveloped the diner. As Maya walked to work, the sun warmed her skin, filling her with a sense of renewed hope. The familiar sounds of the diner greeted her, and she felt a twinge of excitement as she anticipated David's arrival. He had become a source of comfort and inspiration, a reminder that kindness and understanding could bloom even in the most unexpected places. As the morning rush began to wane, Maya noticed David rolling through the door, his expression more radiant than usual. He wore a slight smile, and in his lap rested a small brown paper bag. Maya's curiosity piqued. She hadn't seen him bring anything like this before. "Good morning, Maya," he called out cheerfully as he approached his usual booth. "Morning, David. You seem extra bright today," she responded, returning his smile. "What do you have there?" With a twinkle in his eye, David produced the bag and placed it on the table. "I thought I'd bring you a little something," he said, his voice warm and inviting. Maya raised an eyebrow, both surprised and touched. "For me? You didn't have to do that." He chuckled softly. "I know, but I wanted to. Open it." Maya carefully pulled the crumpled paper from the bag, revealing a beautifully illustrated book titled The Art of Cooking with Heart. Her heart swelled with gratitude. "Oh, David, this is wonderful. I love to cook." "I remember you mentioning it," he replied. "I thought it might inspire you. especially when you're feeling down. Cooking can be therapeutic, you know. Maya's eyes sparkled as she flipped through the pages filled with vibrant recipes and uplifting stories. This is perfect. I've been wanting to try new recipes for my siblings, but I never seem to have the time. David nodded knowingly. Cooking is more than just preparing meals. It's a way to express love and creativity. I've learned that we need to find joy in the little things, especially during tough times. His words resonated deeply with Maya. She had been so focused on survival, on the demands of her job and family responsibilities, that she had shelved her dreams. "You're right. I used to dream about opening my own restaurant one day," she confessed, a hint of nostalgia creeping into her voice. "But life happened, and I put those dreams on hold. I thought it was impractical." David leaned forward, his expression earnest. "Don't dismiss your dreams, Maya. They're worth pursuing. You have a talent and a passion for cooking that could inspire others. Life may throw obstacles in our paths, but that doesn't mean we should stop striving for what we want." Maya felt a surge of emotion at his encouragement. She had always admired David's ability to find meaning in his struggles, and here he was, pushing her to reclaim her own dreams. "Thank you, David. You always seem to know what to say. I've been so caught up in everything that I forgot why I love cooking in the first place." They spent the rest of the morning talking about their dreams and aspirations. David shared his own desire to write, to pen a book about resilience and the power of community. "I want to inspire others who might be facing challenges," he said, his eyes sparkling with passion. "There's a story in all of us, and I want to help others tell theirs." Maya felt invigorated by their conversation, a sense of hope blossoming within her. "Maybe we could do something together, share our stories through food and writing," she suggested, excitement bubbling in her chest. "We could create a series of events, or even a blog." David's face lit up at the idea. "I love that. Food brings people together, and stories connect us in ways we can't always see." As they brainstormed ideas, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. With David's encouragement and the inspiration of the beautiful book, she began to envision a future where she could pursue her culinary dreams while continuing to support her family. The mutual exchange of inspiration between them created a powerful bond as they discovered the strength they both drew from their shared experiences. When the lunch rush picked up again, Maya served customers with a new spark in her step. Each smile exchanged, each moment spent with David, fueled her determination to chase after her goals. She realized that pursuing her dreams didn't mean abandoning her responsibilities. It meant embracing both with open arms. As the day came to a close, Maya watched David roll out of the diner, a sense of gratitude washing over her. In him, she had found not just a friend but a partner in inspiration, and for the first time in a long while, she felt ready to reclaim her dreams, no matter the obstacles that lay ahead. Community and support. As autumn settled in, the diner buzzed with excitement for its upcoming event, a community fundraiser designed to support local charities and uplift those in need. The owner, Mrs. Henderson, had organized a diner day where a portion of the day's sales would be donated to various causes, including a local food bank and a youth mentorship program. Flyers decorated the walls, vibrant with colors and encouraging messages, creating an atmosphere of unity and purpose. Maya felt a surge of enthusiasm when Mrs. Henderson approached her during a quiet moment. "Maya, I want you to help coordinate the event," she said, her eyes sparkling with faith in her young waitress. "You have a knack for bringing people together." Surprised but flattered, Maya nodded. "Of course, I'd love to help." Knowing David's passion for community involvement, Maya immediately thought of him. She approached him the next time he visited the diner, excitement bubbling in her voice. "David, we're hosting a fundraiser at the diner. I'd love for you to be involved. We could team up." His eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "Count me in. I've been looking for ways to give back ever since I had to step back from teaching. This sounds like the perfect opportunity." Together, They brainstormed ideas, with Maya organizing logistics while David utilized his charm to rally support. They decided to create a special community plate featuring dishes inspired by local flavors. For every plate sold, a portion would go to the charities. The planning sessions were filled with laughter and creativity, their camaraderie deepening as they shared not just ideas, but their hopes and dreams for the future. As the day of the event approached, excitement filled the diner. Friends and regulars pitched in, from cooking and decorating to promoting the event on social media. Maya found herself growing closer to the other staff and patrons, many of whom she hadn't interacted with before. They shared stories of their struggles and triumphs, reinforcing the sense of community that defined the diner. On the day of the fundraiser, the diner transformed into a vibrant hub of activity. Colorful banners hung from the walls, and tables overflowed with delicious food. Maya and David worked side by side, serving customers, sharing laughs, and discussing their dreams of making a positive impact. "Look at everyone coming together," David said, his eyes scanning the room filled with familiar faces. "It's incredible what a little effort can achieve." Maya nodded, her heart swelling with pride. "I never realized how many people cared until now. It feels like we're all part of something bigger." As the day wore on, they welcomed families, friends, and even newcomers, each person bringing their own unique story. Maya noticed a group of children from the youth mentorship program sitting at a table, eagerly enjoying their meals. She felt a sense of purpose as she watched them laugh and bond, inspired by the very community they were helping. By the end of the day, the diner was alive with energy, and the atmosphere felt electric. Mrs. Henderson gathered everyone around to announce the total amount raised, an impressive sum that would significantly benefit the local charities. Cheers erupted, and Maya felt a surge of happiness as she glanced at David. "We did this together," she said, her voice filled with emotion. David smiled warmly. "You did this. You brought us all together, Maya. It's your spirit that inspired everyone." Maya shook her head, realizing how far they had come. "No, it was all of us. You helped me see the importance of community and support." As the event wrapped up, Maya felt a renewed sense of purpose. She and David had not only strengthened their friendship, but had also ignited a spirit of collaboration within the diner that would resonate long after the fundraiser was over. They had witnessed firsthand how a simple idea could bloom into a community-wide celebration, inspiring others to lift one another in times of need. Their laughter echoed in the diner as they began to clean up, the remnants of the event serving as a reminder of the beautiful connections forged that day. Maya realized that in their shared mission to uplift others, she had discovered her own strength and a deeper understanding of what it meant to be part of a community. As she looked at David, she felt a swell of gratitude. Together, they had not only brought joy to others, but had also woven their own stories into the fabric of the diner, each thread richer for the experience. Challenges arise. As the weeks passed and the diner's fundraiser became a resounding success, the bond between Maya and David deepened. They often found themselves laughing and sharing stories, both inside and outside the diner. However, as their friendship blossomed, so did the scrutiny from others. It started subtly, a disapproving glance from a regular customer, a whispered comment among the staff. Maya tried to brush it off, but the judgmental stares and hushed conversations began to wear on her. One afternoon, while serving a table of patrons who frequented the diner, she overheard one of them comment, "Why does she spend so much time with him? She could do better." The words struck her like a sharp knife. It was as if they didn't see the man for who he was, a kind, resilient soul who had become an integral part of her life. Instead, they viewed him through the lens of societal stereotypes, reducing him to his disability and their own narrow-minded judgments. Maya felt a knot of frustration tightening in her chest. She had always been proud of her ability to connect with people from all walks of life, yet here she was, facing unearned criticism for befriending someone who had taught her so much about strength and perseverance. It was as if the world was telling her that their friendship was unacceptable, and that deeply troubled her. Amidst this turmoil, David faced his own battle. One evening he called Maya, his voice shaky and filled with concern. "Maya, I don't feel well. I think I might need to go to the hospital." Panic gripped her heart. They had shared so many moments together. The thought of losing him was unfathomable. She rushed to his apartment, arriving just in time to see him being loaded into an ambulance. His face was pale, but he managed a weak smile as he saw her. "It's probably nothing," he said, trying to reassure her, but his eyes betrayed his fear. At the hospital, Maya waited anxiously in the sterile waiting room, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. Hours seemed to stretch endlessly. She reflected on their friendship, the moments they shared, and how he had inspired her to embrace life fully. She couldn't bear the thought of him facing this alone. When she finally saw him, he was lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to monitors, but his spirit remained unbroken. "Hey, you scared me," she said, forcing a smile to mask her worry. David chuckled softly. "I guess I'm not as invincible as I thought. Just a little scare, could be dehydration or something." They're running tests. Sitting by his side, Maya felt a wave of vulnerability wash over her. "I've been struggling with what people think about us," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know they judge me for being your friend. Sometimes I wonder if I'm making the right choices." David looked at her intently, understanding etched in his features. "People will always have opinions, Maya. What matters is how we feel about each other. You've been my anchor, and I'm grateful for your friendship." His words struck a chord within her. She realized that their connection was more profound than any judgment cast by outsiders. It was built on mutual respect and understanding, a bond forged through shared struggles and triumphs. As they spoke, Maya felt her doubts begin to dissolve. "You're right. I've learned so much from you about resilience. Your strength inspires me," she admitted, her voice steadying. "I'm here for you, no matter what anyone else thinks." David's face lit up with gratitude, his eyes shining. "And I'm here for you too. We'll navigate this together." In that moment, their friendship solidified, fortified by the challenges they faced. They knew that together they could confront the world, no matter how harsh its judgments. The next day, after a series of tests, David was released from the hospital, a clean bill of health bringing them both relief. As he rolled out, Maya took his hand, a silent promise of solidarity. "Let's face whatever comes next, together," she said, and he nodded, the bond between them stronger than ever. Turning point. Maya's heart raced as she paced the sterile waiting room, her mind a whirlwind of anxiety and fear. David had been admitted for tests after experiencing severe chest pain, and the thought of him in pain tore at her. She had always admired his strength and resilience, and now it felt like a storm was brewing, threatening to shatter the bond they had forged. Finally, the doctor emerged, his expression serious yet compassionate. "David is stable, but we need to monitor him for a few days. It's good that he came in when he did. It could have been much worse." Relief flooded through Maya, but she couldn't shake the feeling that David needed her now more than ever. The next day, as she sat by his bedside, she could see the worry etched on his face. "Maya, I'm sorry you have to come here." "I didn't want to be a burden," he said, his voice low, filled with guilt. "David, you're not a burden," she replied firmly, taking his hand in hers. "You're my friend, and I care about you. I'd do this 100 times over if it meant helping you." His gaze softened, and for a moment, the air was thick with unspoken emotions. They shared a silent understanding that transcended words, an acknowledgement of the depth of their connection. It was then that Maya realized how important he had become to her. He wasn't just a man she served in the diner. He was a source of strength and inspiration. The following week, the diner held a celebration to honor David's recovery, inviting friends and patrons to share their support. Maya was nervous but determined to make the event a success. However, just as the festivities began, a group of local patrons walked in, their expressions filled with disdain as they spotted David. "Why is he here?" One of them scoffed loudly. "He shouldn't be mingling with us. It's embarrassing." The words hung in the air like a dark cloud, and Maya felt a fire ignite within her. In that moment, she decided she could no longer stay silent. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, her voice steady yet fierce. "What's embarrassing is the way you judge someone based on their circumstances. David is not just his disability. He's a person with dreams and a heart full of kindness. He's part of this community just like you, and he deserves your respect." The diner fell silent. Gasps of surprise rippled through the crowd, and David looked at her, eyes wide with both shock and gratitude. Maya continued, her voice rising with conviction. "We should lift each other up, not tear each other down. David has taught me more about resilience than any of you ever could, and I won't let anyone belittle that." Maya's words hung in the air, a powerful declaration that echoed within the diner. The group that had initially mocked David shifted uncomfortably, their bravado faltering in the face of her courage. Some patrons began to clap, hesitant at first, but soon the applause grew louder, reverberating through the space, affirming Maya's stand. As the applause died down, David smiled, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Thank you, Maya. I can't tell you how much that means to me." The event took on a different atmosphere after that moment. Patrons engaged with David, sharing stories and laughter, their earlier judgments dissipating like the morning fog. Maya felt a surge of pride, not just for standing up for her friend, but for confronting her own insecurities. She realized that her fears of judgment no longer held power over her. In the days that followed, both Maya and David felt a renewed sense of strength. Their friendship deepened, fortified by the challenges they had faced together. They found solace in each other, sharing their dreams and aspirations without fear of judgment. David spoke of his desire to advocate for others with disabilities, to help them find their voices and embrace their journeys. Maya, inspired by his words, began to entertain her own dreams more fiercely. "Maybe I'll take that cooking class I've always wanted to," she mused one evening, her eyes shining with determination. "And who knows? Maybe one day I'll open my own restaurant." David beamed at her, the admiration in his gaze unmistakable. "You absolutely should. You have a gift, Maya. The world needs more of your light." As they sat together, reflecting on their individual journeys, they realized that they had both found strength in each other. It wasn't just about overcoming obstacles. It was about celebrating each other's victories, no matter how small. In that pivotal moment, they understood that their friendship was a testament to resilience and the power of human connection. Together, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, emboldened by the strength they had discovered within themselves. The shocking note. As the weeks rolled on, the seasons began to shift. The golden hues of fall gave way to the chill of winter, and with it came a change in David's circumstances. One crisp morning, he entered the diner with an air of solemnity that immediately caught Maya's attention. The usual light in his eyes seemed dimmed, and a heaviness hung in the air around him. "Hey, Maya," he greeted her, his voice barely above a whisper. "Can we talk?" "Of course," she replied, her heart racing with concern. They settled into their familiar booth, but the comfort of their usual routine felt elusive today. David fidgeted with a small keychain hanging from his wheelchair, his expression clouded with uncertainty. After a few moments of silence, he took a deep breath, as if bracing himself for the impact of his words. "I have some news," he began, his gaze focused on the table rather than meeting her eyes. "I've been offered a chance to move closer to my sister. She's been really worried about me since the health scare, and I think it might be best for me to take her up on it." Maya's heart sank at the thought of him leaving. "David, you don't have to do that for me," she said quickly, but her voice trembled with emotion. "You should do what's best for you. But I'll miss you." "It's not just about you," he replied, his voice gaining strength. "It's about me trying to reclaim my life. I've been feeling so lost, and maybe being around family will help." He paused, the weight of his words hanging heavy between them. As he spoke, Maya felt a wave of mixed emotions crashing over her: sadness, support, and a tinge of selfishness. She had come to cherish their moments together, their conversations, and the profound bond they had built. The idea of losing that was unbearable. Then, just as she was about to respond, David reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded note, along with his keys. He placed them gently on the table between them, his hands trembling slightly. "Before I go, I want you to have this," he said, nodding toward the note. "It's important." Maya stared at the note, confusion washing over her. "What do you mean? Why would I need your keys?" "Just open the note," he urged, his voice steady yet laced with vulnerability. With trembling fingers, she unfolded the paper. As she read the words, her heart raced, and her breath caught in her throat. The note revealed more than just his thoughts. It was a declaration of his feelings for her. "Maya, I want you to know how much you've changed my life. You've seen me as more than my disability, and I've admired your strength and passion. If I could choose anyone to stand by my side through this journey, it would be you. I've been holding back my feelings, but I can't hide them anymore. I care about you deeply, and I hope you can see the man I am beyond the wheelchair." Maya's mind whirled as she processed his words, a storm of emotions swirling within her. Shock, joy, and fear intertwined, leaving her speechless. The realization that David felt the same way she did struck her like a lightning bolt, igniting hope, but also an undeniable fear of what his departure might mean. As she looked up at him, she noticed the vulnerability etched in his face, the uncertainty that accompanied such raw honesty. The weight of the moment pressed heavily on both of them, and Maya could feel her heart racing, battling between the urge to express her own feelings and the fear of losing him. Suddenly, the reality of the situation hit her. David was preparing to leave, to embark on a new chapter of his life, and she stood on the precipice of an emotional cliff. "David, I..." But before she could finish her thought, the diner door swung open with a loud jingle, drawing their attention. A cold gust of wind swept through the room, carrying with it the harsh reminder of reality. David's expression shifted to one of concern as he looked back at her, and the noise of the diner seemed to fade into the background. "Please think about what I said," he urged, his eyes searching hers for a sign of understanding. "I need to make this choice for myself, but I want you to know that you always hold a special place in my heart." Maya's mind raced as she processed the weight of his words, the keys resting heavily on the table, symbolizing not just his past, but a future she desperately wanted to be part of. The moment felt suspended in time, teetering on the edge of something monumental, and she knew she had to respond before it was too late. But just as she gathered the courage to speak, the door opened again, and the clatter of conversation and laughter flooded back into their world, shattering the fragile bubble they had created. The diner was alive again, but Maya felt as if she was in a dream, caught between two realities, one that included David and one that would see him leave. With her heart pounding in her chest, Maya took a deep breath, ready to finally express her feelings, but as she opened her mouth to speak, the moment hung precariously in the air, leaving them both suspended in uncertainty. The keys glinted under the diner's lights, a tangible reminder of everything at stake. The scene cut to black, leaving their unresolved emotions echoing in the air, inviting the viewer to contemplate the choices that lay ahead. Would Maya summon the courage to fight for their connection, or would she let him slip away, leaving both of them wondering what might have been? Facing the truth, the diner buzzed around Maya as she sat in her usual spot at the corner booth, the note resting heavily in her hands. The bustling sounds of clattering dishes and friendly chatter faded into a dull hum, her mind swirling with confusion and anticipation. David had left only moments ago, his presence lingering in the air like a bittersweet memory. Opening the note felt like peeling back a layer of her heart, exposing raw emotions she had carefully tucked away. Taking a deep breath, she unfolded the paper, her hands shaking slightly. The words were written in David's neat handwriting, each letter filled with intention and vulnerability. "Maya, If you're reading this, I'm already on my way to a new chapter. I want you to know that your friendship has meant more to me than you could ever imagine. You've helped me see the world through a lens of hope and possibility, something I thought I had lost. I feel alive again because of you, and that's a gift I'll carry with me wherever I go. But I need to be honest. I have feelings for you, feelings I didn't know how to express. I hesitated, afraid to complicate what we have, but it's the truth. You inspire me to be better every day, and I wish I had the courage to tell you in person. No matter where life takes us, please remember that you are extraordinary. Follow your dreams, and don't let anything hold you back. You deserve every bit of happiness this world has to offer. Yours, David. Maya read the note twice, the words wrapping around her like a warm embrace, but also igniting a whirlwind of emotions. A rush of disbelief coursed through her. Did David really have feelings for her? The realization sent her heart racing. She had sensed a deeper connection between them, but had pushed those thoughts aside, afraid of what they might mean. As the weight of his confession settled in, she couldn't help but reflect on her own feelings. Her bond with David had become one of the most meaningful aspects of her life. Their conversations, their laughter, and the quiet moments they shared had woven a tapestry of intimacy that she had never experienced before. It dawned on her that she had fallen for him too, harder than she had ever allowed herself to acknowledge. But then the reality of the situation crashed down upon her like a tidal wave. David was leaving, and she felt trapped between her growing feelings and the impending loss of their friendship. In an effort to sort through her emotions, she decided to reach out to those closest to her. That evening, Maya gathered with her best friend, Lisa, and her younger sister, Kiki, at their small apartment. The atmosphere was cozy, filled with the warmth of shared laughter and the aroma of homemade pasta. As they settled down, Maya couldn't hold back any longer. "I need to talk to you both about David," she began, her voice trembling slightly. Kiki, always the one with an open heart, leaned in. "You mean the guy from the diner? I've seen how you look at each other. What's going on?" Maya took a deep breath and recounted the events of the past few weeks, the challenges they had faced, and the note that had rocked her world. As she spoke, she felt a mix of relief and anxiety. Lisa and Kiki listened intently, their expressions shifting from curiosity to concern as the gravity of the situation unfolded. "So, you really like him?" Lisa asked, her brow furrowing. "And he's moving away?" Maya nodded, biting her lip. "I just don't know what to do. I've never felt this way about anyone before, and now he's leaving. I feel like I've missed my chance." Kiki frowned, her youthful spirit radiating determination. "You can't let him go without saying something. If you really care about him, you need to fight for it. What's the worst that could happen? But what if he doesn't feel the same way anymore? What if I complicate everything?" Maya countered, feeling torn between her heart and her fears. Lisa chimed in with her practical wisdom. "Life is too short for what-ifs, Maya. You need to be honest with yourself and with him. This could be your only chance." Maya sat back, contemplating their words. She felt a fire ignite within her, pushing against the doubts that had held her captive. This was about more than just a relationship. It was about embracing the unknown and taking risks. As the evening wore on, Maya's decision became clearer. With every laugh and shared story, she realized that she couldn't let fear dictate her life. David had shown her the beauty of vulnerability, and it was time to reciprocate. The thought of losing him was unbearable, and the possibility of a future filled with love and understanding ignited her spirit. After what felt like hours of contemplation, she took a deep breath, looking her sister and friend in the eyes. "I'm going to tell him how I feel. No more second-guessing. I want him to know the truth." Lisa and Kiki beamed with encouragement, and as they rallied around her, Maya felt empowered. This was her moment, a turning point in her life where she could either stay rooted in fear or leap into the unknown. The next day, as the sun began to rise, she prepared herself mentally for what lay ahead. She would seek out David, confront her feelings, and face the truth head-on. No matter the outcome, she knew she had to take that leap. The thought filled her with a sense of purpose, and she was ready to embrace whatever came next. A new beginning. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm golden glow over the diner as Maya stood by the window, watching the world go by outside. Her heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. David was leaving, and she felt a pull deep within her, an undeniable urge to stop him and share her feelings before it was too late. The words from his note echoed in her mind, igniting a fire of determination. She couldn't let him walk away without confronting the truth that had taken root in her heart. Grabbing her coat, she hurried out of the diner, the brisk air hitting her face as she stepped into the late afternoon. She could still see his figure in the distance, rolling toward the bus station. Each push of his wheelchair seemed to take him further from her, and a sense of urgency propelled her forward. "David," she called, her voice cutting through the cool air. He turned, surprised to see her rushing toward him. Relief flooded her as she reached him, breathless yet resolute. "Maya, what are you doing here?" His brow furrowed with concern, but she could see a flicker of hope in his eyes. "I couldn't let you leave without talking to you," she said, her heart pounding in her chest. "I read your note, and I need you to know how I feel." He regarded her with an intensity that made her stomach flutter. "You don't have to say anything, if this is about me moving." "No, it's not just about that," she interrupted, shaking her head. "It's about us. I've been reflecting on everything we've shared, and I realized that I have feelings for you too. You've brought joy and inspiration into my life in a way I never expected. I've never met anyone like you, David." His expression softened, and in that moment, the distance between them felt like nothing more than a fleeting shadow. "I thought I might have misread things," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't want to complicate our friendship, but hearing you say that, it means everything to me." With a deep breath, Maya stepped closer, her heart racing. "We've both been through so much, but I don't want to lose what we have. I want to support each other in our dreams, whatever they may be. I'm ready to embrace what we can build together." David's eyes sparkled with a mixture of relief and joy. "I've been thinking about my next steps, maybe going back to teaching in some capacity, finding a way to give back. I want to inspire others like you've inspired me." Maya nodded, feeling a surge of excitement. "And I want to pursue my studies in hospitality management. I've held back for so long, but with you by my side, I feel like I can finally chase that dream." The air around them seemed to shimmer with possibility. As they talked, the weight of their individual struggles began to lift, replaced by a shared vision for their future. They exchanged ideas, dreams, and hopes, creating a tapestry of aspirations that intertwined their lives in ways they had never anticipated. "Whatever happens next, I want us to navigate it together," Maya said, her voice filled with determination. "Together," David echoed, a broad smile spreading across his face. In that moment, the uncertainties that had once loomed over them transformed into a sense of hope. They stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, with the knowledge that they had each other. As they shared a heartfelt embrace, Maya felt the warmth of new beginnings enveloping them, a promise of a future filled with love, support, and shared dreams. Full circle. Months had passed since that pivotal day outside the bus station, and the seasons had cycled through, bringing with them fresh beginnings and transformative changes for both Maya and David. The diner, once just a place of employment for Maya, had evolved into a vibrant hub of connection and community, a testament to the bond she and David had cultivated together. As winter melted into spring, the diner was adorned with colorful flowers and cheerful decorations, a celebration of life and renewal. The staff buzzed with excitement as they prepared for a special event, the grand reopening of the diner after renovations, a tribute to the community that had rallied around them during their journey. The walls were painted a bright, welcoming yellow, and new blues had been added to accommodate the growing number of patrons. Maya stood in the center of the diner, a sense of pride swelling in her chest as she watched the preparations unfold. She had embraced her passion for cooking and had even started offering cooking classes at the diner, where she shared her love for food and culture. David had become an integral part of this new chapter, using his voice to advocate for those with disabilities, inspiring others through his story. He was a regular presence in the diner, his laughter and energy infectious. As the evening approached, the diner filled with familiar faces and new friends, each person reflecting the love and support that had blossomed from their shared experiences. Mrs. Henderson, the owner, stood on a makeshift stage, her eyes shining with warmth as she welcomed everyone. "Tonight, we celebrate not just our reopening, but the incredible journey we've all been on together," she declared, her voice ringing with emotion. Maya glanced at David across the room, their eyes meeting in a moment of unspoken understanding. He had been her anchor during turbulent times, and now, as they stood side by side, they represented hope and resilience. They had faced challenges, societal judgment, health scares, and personal insecurities, but had emerged stronger, fueled by their commitment to each other and their community. As the celebration continued, Maya took to the stage, her heart racing with anticipation. "I just want to say a few words," she began, the crowd falling silent. "When I first met David, I had no idea how much he would change my life. He taught me about strength, vulnerability, and the power of friendship. He inspired me to follow my dreams and embrace who I am." The crowd erupted into applause, and Maya smiled through her tears. "We all have our struggles, but together we can lift each other up. This diner is not just a place to eat. It's a community where we can share our stories and support one another. Let's continue to foster this spirit of kindness and resilience." As she stepped down, David joined her, taking her hand in his. "Maya, you've not only changed my life, you've changed the lives of everyone here. Together, we can create a ripple effect of hope." With that, they cut the ribbon, symbolizing a new beginning not just for the diner, but for the lives intertwined within it. The celebration erupted into laughter, music, and heartfelt conversations. Friends danced, families shared meals, and everyone reveled in the joy of connection. Later that evening, as the crowd began to dwindle, Maya and David found a quiet corner of the diner. "Can you believe how far we've come?" he asked, a soft smile bracing his lips. "I never would have imagined this," she admitted, her eyes sparkling with gratitude. "I've learned that life is unpredictable, but when you surround yourself with the right people and embrace your journey, you can find happiness in the most unexpected places." David nodded, his gaze steady and sincere. "We've both grown so much. I'm proud of us, of our friendship, our love, and the community we've built. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, we can rise above and create something beautiful." As they reflected on their journey, a sense of peace washed over them. They had not only navigated their own struggles, but had also become advocates for others, reminding everyone that resilience was a shared experience. The diner, once just a backdrop to their story, had transformed into a sanctuary of hope and inspiration. With a deep breath, Maya looked into David's eyes, feeling a profound sense of gratitude. "Here's to new beginnings and the endless possibilities ahead," she said, raising an imaginary glass. "Together," David replied, squeezing her hand gently, their hearts united in a shared vision for the future. As they stepped outside into the cool night air, the stars twinkled overhead, reflecting the light of their journey, a journey of friendship, love, and unwavering hope. Together, they had built a life that celebrated resilience, reminding them that every ending was merely a new beginning waiting to unfold.